You know what? I think I can do a New Balance collection video. I think that's pretty doable. Let's start first with the 991V2 made in UK in the Dove and Alloy colorway, or essentially it's a gray 991V2. And then we have the Kambu Green. That was a favorite by people on the channel, especially when styled with the New Balance bomber jacket that also featured this darker green. And I really love the yellowing of the midsole. Moving along, we have the 2002R Refined Future Pack, because it is not Protection Pack. It is formerly Refined Future in Rain Cloud and Mirage Gray. I saw recently they're bringing back the original Refined Future Pack, which is pretty nice for anyone who missed out. I know Rain Cloud was such a coveted colorway during that time. Very happy to have mine, and these feel amazing on foot. If you were ever curious, yes, they absolutely do. Now next up, we have the 992 Made in USA Nimbus Cloud. That's a recent pair that you've seen here on the channel. And then the 993 Made in USA Joe Fresh Goods Performance Art in Sage. So if you recall, he dropped 3 colorways for the 993 pack with New Balance, and then the Nimbus Cloud for the 992 Made in USA is a really appreciated colorway. It's certainly lighter on the grayscale, but it feels amazing on foot. Now we have the 990 V2 Made in USA Teddy Santis in the white and blue. Some said it was like the more mature, what was it, the Travis Scott and Fragment Jordan 1 Low. They said it was the more mature option. And then we have the 2019 998 Made in USA Sand Teal. This isn't a pair you see every single day. It really does feel like a cool day on the beach, with a lot of comfort and then style, and of course the suede upper, what New Balance is known for. So some really nice retro pairs here. Let's move along. We have the 990 V6 Made in USA Gray Day, which is of course just gray. It's the gray pair, the pair that goes with everything. And then the Teddy Santis pair for the Mindful Gray. Mind you, it's beige and tan with some gray reflective accents in there. I'm not sure of the Mindful part. I'm not, because it's a whole lot of earth tones thrown in there. But nonetheless, it's a 990 V6. It is extremely comfortable on foot. Truly, if you've never tried one on, it's amazing on foot. Now we have the 990 V4 Made in USA Gray Day, but mind you, it also has navy accents. And then I did a lace swap, so yellow laces to go ahead and coordinate with the midsole. And then the 990 V5 Made in USA Gray Day pair. When you think of 990s, honestly, I see a lot of people just toss on their V5 and use it as an everyday pair. Moving along, the 9060, truly the pair that, well, I think with the younger generation, they really appreciate it. So we have Moon Days with a variation of different blues on the upper and even the midsole. Yes, it does have this age look that kind of scares some people out of the box because they didn't know that it was supposed to look like that. And then we have the 9060, just regular Gray Day pair. I know that so many individuals appreciate this pair. Even my niece owns this pair. And yeah, so again, when it comes to a gray pair, for this to be more modern, certainly chunky and comfortable for lifestyle, this is a go-to. Additional 9060s, because yeah, I went through a phase. So the 9060s Sea Salt. Now the Sea Salt colorway, it has a few variations, right? So this is like one of the original pairs. I think they came out with a newer one, but it doesn't necessarily have, I think, as saturated coloring on the upper as this one. And then we have the workwear pair, which is just really unique in its tone. Now the 9060 Joe Fresh Goods Inside Voices, this is the Penny Cookie pink pair. Truly just one of the best pairs that I think we've seen. And it was a great way for New Balance to launch the 9060. Like, who better to launch it with than a collaboration with Joe Fresh Goods? And then we have the Fresh Foam More Trail V3. So it is certainly springy. It is meant for you to actually like run underfoot, be on a trail. This is a true to size pair in my size 6, but my feet have actually felt a little bit more cramped in recent times. Just a random fact there. And now something new that you guys have not seen, because this was a recent gift, not by New Balance, but it was a recent gift that I'm so appreciative to have, and that is the New Balance 740 in navy and white. So I'm sure you've seen the 740 on social media, possibly in person. So every brand is really playing in the retro runner space, but more importantly, the affordable retro runner space, because the 740 retails for $110. You heard that right. Not the 160 you may see for other models, like potentially a 1906, or the higher prices we see for the 990 series for $200 and more. No, $110. Now, don't be fooled. This isn't a brand new release in terms of like it never hitting the market. No, back in the early 2000s, the 740 was actually in the market by New Balance. And they said, you know what? Let's just go ahead and bring it back. And more importantly, New Balance had a very specific way in how they wanted to frame this specific sneaker. So just so you guys know, they said the 740 is not just a reinterpretation, it's a rediscovery of what made the original so special. And I do appreciate that they said, hey, let's take something that worked then, but let's make it even better. Let's streamline it, because they really have taken some, I think, inspiration from the 1906, as they've said before, and different marketing materials to give it a sleeker design. It still has all the comfort thanks to Absorb in the midsole, but the mesh runner, so we know the mesh runners are all the craze right now because people want something that is, one, lightweight, two, breathable. Now, I think there are some other breathable options as opposed to just the 740, but that is one of the selling points, right? You have a breathable mesh retro runner that you can dress up or down in a number of ways. New Balance intended for you to have this on foot all day long for lifestyle wear. It doesn't matter what you happen to be doing during your day. Toss this on and you're good to go throughout the day with not only comfort and structure, but again, just it being a timeless design because it is that metallic retro runner. And you guys can see, listen, plenty of traction on the outsole here. So as you're walking around throughout your entire day, you are set with the 740. Tried a 740 added to the collection, and you can clearly see, okay, I have both of these, the Vomero 5, the P6000, both metallic mesh retro runners, and I have this. So it's not difficult to understand why it was clear that I would love having this in hand. It really is just something about these retro mesh runners. Now, we know that they're having their time and their moment in the market, and they're certainly having their time and their moment with me. That's not to say that I still don't appreciate the retros that I have, and I'm talking like the actual Jordan retros, but in today's time, the comfort, the wearability of them, but then also if it comes to like, if it is coming out of my pocket, then yes, I certainly do appreciate a sneaker that isn't going to necessarily run me over 200. And then if it does, it should certainly be comfortable, at least to me. This is just where I am at this stage in my life. That does not need to apply to you at all whatsoever. But I love that New Balance is playing around in that $110 range. I mean, that is certainly something people can get behind. They can, really appreciate what they're getting under their foot, but also just on it in terms of style, because New Balance did not intend for this to be something, again, that you just wear, let's say, within the gym. No, they want this to be like your go-to pair. And if you've seen the campaigns, because if you know me, Cameron Brink was a big part of the campaign during the release in 2024, because that's when this shoe originally dropped, or came back, I should say, retroed. So I believe it was October 2024, and she had on the green pair, and I've said this before, when brands pick a retro runner and they really want to turn your head with it, they usually end up throwing green of some kind on the actual shoe. And with metallic overlays and then white mesh, I just think it all really works together. Doesn't matter the brand, you can pick any one out of a hat and look at, their green retro runners, and it certainly does work. Let's also talk the fact that, yeah, your girl is tired, okay? Between like 12 fits for the A1s in a short amount of time, tapped out. I'm tired. If you watched my Nike Vomero, video with this navy pair, truly just throw on whatever. Throw on the exact same things with this pair. Same thing if you watch my P6000. Well, yeah, if you watch the P6000 video, I would say that same thing really applies. Again, metallic mesh runner. The same thing applies that I can throw on. Like now I have the option of my New Balance gray bucket hat. So I picked this up from PacSun. So that was not a gift. That was something that I spent my money on, and it finally arrived today, just ahead of this video. So 740, in hand, and I can't wait to go ahead and throw this on. And I might go ahead and do a follow-up video just to see the comparisons on foot with the Vomero 5, but then also the P6000, because usually New Balance is known to have more structure and support underfoot versus maybe some of those options. So I am certainly curious to maybe see that, and maybe I'll just go ahead and put that on camera for you guys. Now, one thing I will say in terms of sizing for the 740, I think you can go true to size. So again, this was a gift, so it's always like a guess of what model may work or what size may work based on the model, and that's sometimes difficult to get to just understand or grasp for somebody. It is, because I also bounce around between sizes. Like in the Vomero 5, I went up a half size, but like in the P6000, I have a true to size, but I also have up a half size. So it's all over the place. It is. I will say, for most people, based on the reviews I saw, they decided to go true to size. For this is actually the GS pair, and one thing that I like, it doesn't feel like I've been skimped because this is the GS pair. You have to remember, for a lot of New Balances, depending on what retailer you're purchasing them through, they don't always go down that far to like a 6 or 6.5 in men's. For New Balance pairs, if it's like just men's options, a lot of times it like will start at 8. So this is the GS pair, and I will say I am actually really pleasantly surprised to have this in hand and see like how they executed so well on it, again, for it to be GS. So doesn't feel like I've been skimped out in any way. Really delivering on everything I appreciate about retro runners right now, with the mesh and the metallic overlay. So also, if you follow me on Instagram at talkstylewith.tj, then you're well aware that I had a poll up in my story about another retro runner that's been on my mind, similar to how that metallic P6000 was on my mind. I have no idea, I'm not sure, like, well, I'll figure out, when, if I'll purchase, it's probably like I will. We'll see. I don't know. Sometimes I want to switch things up just in terms of how I present a shoe. So we'll see what happens, right? Hopefully you guys stay tuned. If you didn't already catch my videos on the A1 OG Pearl and the A1 Pink or the debut colorway, please be sure to check both of those out. I'm still just so elated to have both in my collection. And I do have a New Balance here, brand new added. Now, this wasn't stated in the actual like on foot look for all of the shoes, but I actually intend to get rid of 2 New Balance pairs, more than likely. One I just think I'll gift, and one I may sell. It was one that I bought, and I just realized that I opt for another $9.90 pair versus that one all the time. So you can go ahead and guess which one's below. You can also maybe guess which retro runner has my eye. Maybe you can guess specific colorway. If you follow me on Instagram, then you already know this information, but just know I always appreciate you tuning in so much. As always, act your age, not your shoe size. Peace.